My name is Mikael Willgert, and I sit here together with Sergej Beljajev, that is the Russian ambassador here in Stockholm. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Tack så mycket. God dag.
Good day. And you have been the ambassador in Finland for a number of years. I added it up to about 20 years.
Well, I worked in Finland 4 times, as I know Finnish language, but I was not ambassador in Finland. I was number 2 in the embassy for quite a long period of time. And it's my first appointment as ambassador abroad, and now I'm working in Stockholm, in Sweden, for a little bit more than 4 months. I came here in the beginning of November. I worked with Swedish affairs beginning with year 2001. When I was appointed as chief of desk for Finland and Sweden in the Russian Foreign Ministry. And then I was deputy director of the department, and for the last 6 years I was general director of department dealing with the Northern Europe.
Okay.
My sphere of responsibility was all northern countries, Baltic states, Great Britain and Ireland, and Arctic cooperation.
Were you situated in Russia for that work, or was it here in Europe?
No, I was in Russia dealing with these issues, and in Sweden I was dozens of times, but with short visits. And now it's my first possibility to live in Sweden and to see Sweden from inside.
And you told me earlier that you live here with your family also.
Yes, of course.
That's nice to hear, and we have a lot of things that I would like to discuss with you. But before we do that, it would be interesting if you could just give an idea of your background, if you have something more to tell except from your work as ambassador or at the embassy.
I came from Moscow, and I'm a career diplomat. And I can say that I was born in Moscow because in my passport, place of born is mentioned as Moscow. But in reality, I was born outside the Soviet Union, in Africa. My father also was a diplomat, and I was born in Africa, in the capital of Ghana, city Accra. And I came to the Soviet Union when I was 2 years old.
Okay, so then you were living in Russia.
Yes. And my children, they are developing in the same way as all children in diplomatic families. My son was born in Helsinki and daughter in Moscow.
Okay.
So we have, so to say, mixed
quite international.
Yeah. Quite international one.
I just got a quite interesting message that I would like you to comment. A temporary agreement between Russia and United States.
Yesterday, Russian delegation had negotiations with representatives of the American administration in Riyadh, and it was actually idea of our president to achieve some results in increasing safety of shipping in the Black Sea. And now we see that we have intention to develop commercial shipping, and first of all shipping of food products within the Black Sea. And that's why we need to reduce sanctions on Russian banks and companies who are dealing with agriculture sector. We have to receive possibility to use our ships, commercial ships in the Black Sea, and that's why it's insurance, it's payments, it's possibility to use harbors, and so on. If and when this happens, it will be very a good thing not only to participants of the negotiation process, but also for the countries who need agricultural production.
And the fertilizer that I guess you sell on the global market. So.
Yes, of course, and we have here in Sweden increasing prices for food products. And Mr. Wallenberg was very right to say that it's not the stores that are guilty for this. Of course not, because it's a development of markets. There is no fuel. Cheap fuel from Russia on the markets. That's why we can see that prices for logistic electricity are going up. There is no auxiliaries from Russia. It leads to rise of prices in agriculture, of course. So if and when we can normalize international trade, it will lead to beneficial results for all of us.
Vårt ekologiska vita vin är skapat med tradition och omsorg. Låt oss presentera Sweb TV Chardonnay Organic, ett friskt vitt vin med inslag av päron och citrus. Finns att beställa på Systembolagets hemsida.
Here in Sweden we have heard a lot about the so-called shadow fleet.
Well, it is mentioned quite a lot of times, but there is no so many concrete examples of this. Of course, commercial issues are such that if goods are needed, a businessman will try to sell these goods by any price to the consumer. It is really a difficult situation when it is not possible to make any insurances. In Baltic Sea,
that's
we for years developed international cooperation to achieve safety of shipment.
For Russian ships or
for all ships, for transporting all goods by all ships. In the whole Baltic Sea.
In cooperation with other countries.
In cooperation with other countries. We had opened for example, in Helsinki, the maritime center of shipment safety. That is watching in real time what ships and how are shipping in the Baltic Sea. If you see what is happening in our common sea, you see that the movement of ships is almost the same as car traffic in Broadway.
It's a lot of ships.
There is a lot of ships, and there is a lot of risks. That's why we were developing common efforts to reduce possibilities of accidents, to increase safety of shipment, and if you do remember this, safety of air communications. The Baltic Sea was the only one region in the world where we had very good cooperation between aircraft authorities, airport authorities, military and civil, to achieve concrete results. We developed special rules of communications between military and civil planes.
Okay.
And all these systems were working. Now they are not.
Okay, so you had rules for the communication and frequencies and transponders maybe, so you know exactly where the position of each ship,
of each plane.
Yeah, and you say that after the sanctions, this has been turned off.
Yeah, so this system was turned off
for Russian ships, or for all ships.
For all ships. If it is comprehensive, there is sense. If it is not comprehensive, there is no sense to maintain such a system.
Okay.
So it doesn't cover now the whole traffic.
You need to have all ships in the system.
You have to restore it to achieve results.
Is it a safety risk today?
Yes, it is a safety risk today. And our goal actually, goal of any diplomatic efforts, political diplomacy or economic diplomacy, is to reduce risks and to prevent problems to become big ones, to achieve such solutions that our life, day-to-day life, will be safer.
Yeah. So your recommendation is to turn these systems on again and make sure that they work.
My hope is that sometimes we will be able to restore cooperation, in spite of the fact that it is very difficult to do now after very deep lack of confidence between Europe and the Russian Federation. We now have contacts and negotiations between the Russian Federation and the United States. And it is a quite natural process, because what was during the Biden administration is not natural. When two big countries, great powers, do not have communication, and it's a normal situation.
What would you say about the communication today between Russia and Europe? Do you have an open communication with some countries in Europe today for
there is
diplomatic issues?
Very low level of communication between Russia and Europe. Nowadays, we used to have very deep and developed cooperation and even partnership between Russia and the European Union. You do remember that 20 years ago or something like this, we developed common spaces of partnership with the European Union. Now the system is ruined, and I suppose that it will be very difficult, if possible at all, to restore it, because times have changed. But at least we should remember that our disputes, our different opinions, should not lead to confrontation, because confrontation is the last thing we can afford ourselves to have. If you remember, in previous times there was a so-called formula of Gorbachev-Reagan between the Soviet Union and the United States of America. That meant that there will be no winner in nuclear war. And that's why this nuclear war never should happen.
Which country would you say has the best communication with Russia in Europe today?
In Europe, it is difficult to say. Our politics now is developing very much towards Asia, Africa, Latin America. Even when we do not have possibilities and actually we see no future in our relations with European countries, we use other directions. And nowadays one of the best developing dimensions of Russian politics is our partnership with China, India, our cooperation within so-called BRICS group of countries. And you know that this organization, BRICS, is developing very rapidly.
Yeah.
We have now 11 countries. We began with 5, now it's 11. And many countries are willing to join.
It's almost half of the world's population.
Yes, it's let's put it in this way that we usually speak about Great or Big Seven group of countries. Yes, and now this so-called Big Seven represent only 30% of global GDP, and BRICS represent 38%.
But still, you have an embassy in Stockholm, so I guess you have some expectations to have some communication with Sweden.
Well, we have had communication with Sweden for more than 1,000 years.
Yeah.
And Russian embassy in Stockholm was one of the first Russian missions abroad. We had great contacts with Northern Europe during ancient Russia times. And Vikings came to serve and to trade to Russia. And we do remember very well that even the first royal dynasty in Russia led to Canon Krurik.
Yeah, that's true.
And of course, we had different periods of time. We had confrontation, we had cooperation, or we had better or worse relations between Russia and Sweden. But all the times we managed to have relations and to keep open channels of communication. And from my point of view, it's important. That's why, of course, we still have embassy in Sweden, as well as Sweden has a royal embassy in Moscow. And nowadays our job is, of course, to think about possibilities of developing relations between two countries, in spite of the fact that it is difficult. But you know, one of our famous foreign ministers, Andrei Gromyko, who worked during the Soviet period of time, used to say that it's better to have 10 years of negotiations than 1 day of war.
What is the view in Russia today about this? You remember Zelensky and Trump in this press conference that become quite famous. Trump mentioned several times that you are going to a third world war. Trump said that to Zelensky. I think 2 times. And this was also after discussion with Putin that Trump mentioned this. What is your view? Are we in a danger for a World War III today?
Well, we've mentioned already about this formula that there will be no winners in World War III. And in January of year 2022, it was a Russian initiative. There was consultations between nuclear powers, all 5 nuclear powers, including Britain, France, and China.
In January 22.
Yes.
So it was just before the
special operation. Yes, and all nuclear powers admitted this attitude that nuclear war should not begin, never. It is too dangerous. And it is very good that both Russia and the United States now do understand that it is too dangerous to go to such level of confrontation that will or may put us to a very big threat of direct conflict between the superpowers. And nowadays, not only Russia and the United States have nuclear weapons, but it is very important that all of us shall understand and remember that it is extremely dangerous to play with such thing as war.
Would you say that there are interests that actually would like this kind of escalation? Some kind of, maybe not Russia or United States, but maybe interests in a global perspective that would not be so negative to that kind of escalation?
From one point of view, there is always someone who try to benefit from something. And there are, of course, those who benefit on conflicts, on wars. It's unfortunate, but it's true. On the second hand, there is always such people who are, let's say, very idealistic, and they do think that, well, it's dangerous, but it will never happen to me. And such attitude is extremely bad. Because usually it leads to accidents.
President Putin has had a discussion and also an agreement with Iran. that included that Iran should not develop nuclear weapons. Do you agree to this, that has been an outcome of the discussion with Iran and Russia?
Iran is one of our very close partners for cooperation, and it's a member of BRICS organization.
Yeah.
And of course, it is rather an important issue to discuss with Iranians, also security issues. But whether Iran will renew its program for some guarantees of nuclear non-proliferation or not, it's issue of Iran. And we know that President Trump is trying to speak with Iran on this issue.
Yeah.
But such discussions are possible and they lead to the results only if they are held from the point of mutual equality and mutual respect. With Iran it is very important. If you will try to just to push, it will lead to no results.
So you cannot confirm that there has been some sort of agreement between Iran and Russia on this topic.
Well, I do not know about this.
Du hittar vår självförsvarsspray i butiken här på hemsidan. Sprayerna finns med eller utan färg.
Some things about the conflict and Ukraine. You mentioned special operation. We were quite surprised. So what was the purpose of this special operation? Can you say that?
Well, let's try to remember about the roots of this conflict. And it was a very strong confrontation between the Ukrainian government and regions of eastern Ukraine. Because I do know that we have different opinions on this issue, but in February 2014 it was a coup d'etat in Ukraine, and in spite of the government of national unity that was planned to establish, it was established a government, as they called to themselves, of winners, who decided to declare saint war against Russian language, Russian culture, and it's actually true that Russian language was prohibited in the Ukraine, in spite of the fact that Russian culture, education, Russian language, and so on, in spite of the fact that a lot of population, and especially in eastern parts of Ukraine, is Russian speakers. Some regions of Ukraine didn't were not able to take such situation to approve it. And there was a confrontation between Donbass and the government in Kiev. Ukraine tried to solve this problem by military means, failed. We managed to stop the war by achieving in year 2015 Minsk agreements. These agreements meant that eastern Ukraine will be a part of the Ukraine, but these regions will receive some status of autonomy. There was a very detailed plan how to solve this conflict and to reduce this confrontation.
Yeah, these were the two Minsk agreements that state. Why were there
Minsk
two
agreements?
Why were there two Minsk agreements, by the way?
Actually, it was agreement in 2015. We speak about Minsk agreement or agreements. It's actually all the same because, well, it was a process.
Okay.
And several decisions were made. We, for several years, told our Western colleagues that please let the Ukrainians fulfill this agreement.
Because it was made between Kiev and these Donetsk and Luhansk. So it was low, and
it was not agreement between Russia and the
exactly.
Ukraine.
So you were not.
It was agreement between the Ukrainian government and its eastern regions.
But at that time, I read a figure that United Nations estimated about 14,000 persons were killed in these attacks. It was like a civil war.
Yes, it was like a civil war.
Yeah, but who was serving these autonomous republics with weapon? Did that come from Russia at that time, or how did they defend themselves?
Well, they had a lot of weapons in this region from the previous period of time, and the problem was that there was really a great lack of heavy equipment, of course, because it was not actually a regular army, it was a militia. So ordinary people who turned to military, and we saw all the time that the Ukrainians would like to solve this problem by military means. Many times we told Western colleagues that we will not let this to happen. It is extremely dangerous, and let's fulfill these Minsk agreements because there is no other way. We see that Ukrainians are developing military forces. If they try to use military forces to achieve their goals in eastern Ukraine, we will not let them to do this. Unfortunately, this happened. And now we are in the situation where we are. And of course, there is no way back anymore.
I think I can understand that why Russia felt that you have to do something, because the agreements were not successful. And we had this civil war, and it was not going in the right direction. But with this special operation, it did not have the force to succeed. Or what was the plan? Was the plan that Ukraine should change the mind just, or what was the plan?
Well, I suppose that the plan was very simple, and it was declared from the very beginning. It was to protect people in eastern Ukraine.
Yeah, but the force was too small to really do that, wasn't it?
There was no intention to have a full-scale war.
No. So the plan was that there should be a negotiation and a peace agreement, or?
Well, we had a peace agreement with Ukraine achieved in spring of year 22.
Yeah.
Actually, in these days.
It was the Turkey...
in March, April, yes, it was Istanbul.
Istanbul Agreement, yeah.
Istanbul Agreement, it was achieved, it was ready to sign, but you remember that, Russian troops were near Kyiv at this time, and we were told by Western countries that it's not possible for the Ukraine to sign the agreement when Russian troops are near the Ukrainian capital. Okay. Our president decided to withdraw the troops.
Yeah, so that was the reason. They said that you have to withdraw to fulfill the agreement.
But then former British Prime Minister Mr. Johnson came to Kyiv, as we know now, and prohibited Ukraine to sign the agreement.
Yeah, yeah.
And the war started again.
Yeah. So the plan was to make this agreement, and it was actually successful to 99%, except for the final signing.
Yes, except for the final signing.
Yeah.
And we were ready, and I don't know whether Ukrainians were ready or it was just a trick from their side to receive some advantage in military means.
Yeah.
But this agreement, peace solution, was almost ready 3 years ago.
What was that fulfilling the Minsk agreements and the autonomy of these regions? Was that part of the agreement that were almost signed?
After the special operation was launched and there was a very powerful military confrontation between eastern parts of Ukraine and the Ukrainian government, there is no possibility to return to the situation when these regions will belong to the Ukraine. We have to understand that in the United Nations Charter, there is a principle of national sovereignty of the countries, and at the same time there is a principle of self-determination of the peoples. And we do understand now very well that, in the year 2014 there was disagreements, but the most part of the population in eastern parts of the Ukraine thought that they could continue to live within the Ukrainian state.
But this was changed then.
Now situation is changed, and we have to understand this.
Du hittar vår självförsvarsspray i butiken här på hemsidan. Sprayerna finns med eller utan färg.
At that time, the Minsk agreements, as Angela Merkel said, it was a way to delay this process and to make Ukraine able to arm and build the military forces. When the special operation and these things happened, did Russia underestimate Ukraine at that time? Was Ukraine stronger than you had expected?
It's difficult to say what was estimates from our military people. I'm not a military man, but it was quite clear that people in these regions were not able to continue like this. They asked Russia for protection. If you remember how it happened, they declared themselves independent. And after this, asked Russia for help to protect them. And it was done. The development was very rapid. So I don't think that there was underestimation. I believe that our people, general staff in our army, are professionals. They do understand things very well. But when situation is developing in such a high speed, you have to work in according to the events, and that was done.
And it's difficult to foresee a war. I mean, a lot of things is happening all the time. So, and one thing that has happened is also that a lot of countries have supported Ukraine with weapons, and also Sweden and other European nations. How do you in Russia regard the support from Sweden to Ukraine? Do you consider that Sweden is a part of the war?
Well, Sweden is not a part of the war. It is helping Ukraine, of course, and is sending a lot of materials and even weapons to the Ukraine, and that's why it's not a direct participation, but it's the thing that leads to very big instability in the region. Of course, without this help, Ukrainian regime will not stand, could not stand for a long period of time. By receiving this aid, actually European countries prolonged the war. Many of them, well, now we hear from the European countries, from the European Union, that they want to defeat Russia military, economically, politically. Well, during the history, many tried and wished, at least for time being, there was not lucky ones. If we speak about economy, I just today saw the statistics about the most rapidly developing countries in the world, and within 10 best economies in the world, there is 5 from BRICS countries. It's India, growing. Indonesia, China, Russia, and Brazil. So
your economy is growing fast now?
Yes.
Now this is not just a special operation, it is actually declared as a war today. In Sweden, we in media, they often say it's a full-scale war. Do you agree to that this is a full-scale war?
In media it's declared as full-scale war, and in Sweden we can see also the declarations that Sweden should develop so-called war economy, as Sweden was part of war. It's rather interesting against whom Sweden is in war, if it needs war economy. But there is no war economy in our country.
In Russia, no
in
war.
Russia, it's no war.
No, because we got some figures that the interest rate, it's maybe 1 or 2 months ago, it was 21%, and the inflation was about 9%. Would you say that still this is not a big problem for people in general?
Well, the BKT in Russia increased twice in comparison with year 2020.
It has been doubled.
It has been doubled
with
for 4 years, actually, for 4 years period of time.
Yeah.
We see that development of Russian economy is now more than 4% a year. And when sanctions were launched, and of course it was harmful for the economy, but from the other point of view, it helped to develop internal investments. And when European companies went out, came companies from, for example, China, other countries, developing countries, rapidly developing countries of Asia, and also Russian companies. And we have now very good market and industry for example, food products. And if and when someone will try to come back, it will be rather difficult because markets have already changed.
Yeah.
And this situation, in a way, helped us to develop our own domestic production. We do understand that maybe the aim of the sanctions was to influence also the Russian society.
Yeah,
to make people protest against the government. But you know, the very specific feature of Russia is that if and when we are under pressure, and especially pressure from abroad, the society unites.
Yeah.
And that's why we see that really about 80% of people support the president, support the government. And, you know, one of our very distinguished intellectuals, general director of Hermitage Museum, Art Museum in Petersburg, Mr. Petrovsky. He, well, even before this special operation, he mentions that in all difficult times, the way of thinking of Russian society was that we can disagree between ourselves. But if it is necessary to defend the motherland, the Russians, the most part of Russians, unite. And we can see it also from the history when many of, well, Russian noble people were not satisfied, for example, with Tsar or Emperor, but during the difficult times, they stood together to defend the Tsar they were disagreed with because they were defending their country.
Could this lead to that President Putin, he actually think that this war is maybe not a good thing, but it's not the worst thing because it unites the country, the federation, and also it helps the internal domestic industries, and it makes Russia stronger in a way.
It's better to avoid such developments and achieve results and strengthen the country without such extreme
but is he eager to?
It is really so that in this very difficult period of time, it was possible for Russia to become stronger in political way, in military way, in economical way, and Russian society became more united. It's true.
Is that including the whole federation, you would say? Because this is such an extremely large country, but with different peoples also.
Yes, it's
different languages.
Extremely large country, and Russian Federation is really a federation. We have now 89 subjects of federation, so regions and republics and autonomy republics or regions. And the situation is the same in every subject of Russian Federation.
You would say that this unification,
yes, because you can see this on the example of, for example, Chechen Republic. It was extremely difficult situation there. We had war in Chechnya in end of 90s and beginning of this century. Nowadays, the Chechens are one of the strongest supporters of our president, and very good soldiers in Russian army.
Yeah, which has also taken part in the Ukrainian war.
In special operation, yes. And we have very different regions because, St. Petersburg or Moscow or Murmansk, Arkhangelsk in the north, Vladivostok or Siberia in the east of the country. Some Tatarstan or republics of Caucasus, they are very different, and people differ a lot according to their traditions, religion, their way of life.
But you have free movement, so people can move from one part of.
Yes.
So there are no restrictions.
There are restrictions, no limitations.
How do you avoid that everybody want to live in Moscow, or St. Petersburg, or what other interesting area?
Well, it in a way a miracle, but many people really love their native districts, native cities, and it is very important that the authorities, the federal government and the local authorities should think about the development of the districts. They should develop working places, because of course if there is no work in some place, people will try to find this work where it is possible.
Do you transfer money between these different regions and parts of the federation, so that
yes, of course, it's one of the purposes of the government to see that regions are very different. There are richer regions, regions with lower level of economic development. But it's the issue of governmental politics to make balance so that every region will develop. Every region, it's not only to take money from ones and give it to the others. The real task is to develop economy and social welfare at the local level. If you manage to do this, people will stay in the regions they are. Of course, there is a movement from within our country. Of course, people come to Moscow, to St. Petersburg, to some other developing centers. It's quite natural. But you should avoid the situation when there will be no population, for example, in Siberia. And all people will like to live in Sochi at some very warm and sunny places.
It must be. It cannot be so easy, but you say that it's handled in one way or another.
Innan vi går vidare vill vi påminna om att SWEB-TV är en obunden kanal. Vi är endast beroende av våra tittare. Notera att vårt Swish-nummer är 123 535 8692.
What is the difference between Soviet Union and Russia? Is it a big difference, or is it more or less the same?
It is a big difference, and we spoke before the interview about whether it is possible to consider the Russian Federation to be a socialist country,
socialist
or
communist country.
Or a communist country. And maybe the biggest difference is that Soviet Union was based on ideology. It was socialist country, and it was its aim was to build communism. So it was a communist ideology that was in the basis of the state.
And also to some degree international thinking about this.
And in international thinking, it was from one hand peaceful coexistence with outer world, but at the same time it was solidarity with working peoples in foreign countries also. In Russia, we are now a really democratic country, state of law, and we do not have any ideology in the basis of our state.
Is it a market? Do you have a market ideology, so to say?
Well, we have market economy, and during the first decade of development of the Russian Federation, we unfortunately tried to build the American wild markets, while it was maybe better to take into account the European developments. And at this, you do remember this period of time when in Sweden we had, I beg your pardon, not we, you had. In Sweden, there was a very interesting economic model that was very, it was not a socialistic one, but it was a really society of common prosperity that was aiming at welfare of every people, every citizen.
Yeah.
We do not have the same in Russia today, but our main goal, the main task for our state, is to improve the level of life of our people, so that people will be protected and that they will live better and better. It's
Is it going that way, you would say?
Yes,
yeah.
It is.
But what is the tax level, would you say, in average for people?
Well, we have the same tax level for everybody. It's 13%.
13%
yes.
of your income?
Yes, 14% of your income. It's
for state
for
tax.
everybody, for state tax. And we do not have local taxes.
Okay, but you must have for the regions. Don't the different sub-regions must have some sort of taxes, or
no.
So
for individuals, no. It's for companies, and then funds from the state, but the individual taxation is the same all over the country, and it is 13%. We have a very big discussion about how to make differences and to increase taxation for those who receive more income. And now, for a recent period, we have increasing taxes for those who have income more than 5 million rubles a year. But the level of taxation is for this bigger income is 15%.
Okay,
so it's
but does it? Is this enough for? Much. Is this enough for taking care of health and schools and society? Because it's extremely much lower than that we have in Sweden, for instance.
Yes, but for the time being, our economy and social system stands. And in Russia, you have we have developing rather good, for example, school education and medicine centers. And of course, it depends on the region also. But for example, in Moscow, we have even some medical pavilions during the summertime opened in parks, so that people can check their health near to their houses.
But there must be some other money coming in, because it's too little to guarantee, so to say, this welfare.
Yes, of course.
Is it a lot of money that is taken out from companies for your salary, for instance? Some social cost that is taken from the companies. Yes, that is quite large.
It's funds of the states that are used for this, and taxes and incomes of the companies, and especially companies dealing with oil and gas industry is, but not only this. We have Russia is one of the leading countries, for example, in constructing nuclear power plants, not only in Russia but all over the world. So we have not only oil and gas, but also some technologies also.
Yeah, I know that. But when you mentioned gas, will Nord Stream be taking in use again within the next years, you think?
Well, who knows? Now the Americans stated that they are interested in this. There are some contacts and negotiations. Actually, people who speak that there is no need in pipelines and in gas supplies, well, they are either interested in something or do not understand how the economy works. Because, of course, pipelines and supplies through them is actually the best decision from the economic point of view.
Because there was 4 pipes in Nord Stream.
Yes.
Nord Stream 1 had 2 and Nord Stream 2 had 2. And we understood that the 4th pipe is still intact.
Yes. 3 was damaged, but and it is a big question whether it is better to forget about them or to restore them. But one line is still existing.
Still existing.
It's not working now, but it's still existing.
But it could be taken into use, probably. It has to be refreshed, maybe, or so. But
yes, it's quite possible to use it.
And when Donald Trump discussed this, and also I think there was some American company that actually was it a discussion about buying the Nord Stream from Russia or getting some part of it. Do you know if the idea from that discussion was that the Americans should buy the gas and sell it to Europe, or
well, Americans even now sell gas to Europe.
Yeah,
it's
of course.
More expensive than it used to be when Russian pipelines worked. So Americans have a great benefit on this. If I'm not mistaken, it was figures mentioned by the European Commission that Europe for last 3 years paid for gas 200 billion euros more than before.
Okay, yeah.
But it's up to the results of commercial negotiations. They are, as I understand, going on. And it's at this stage, as we do not know all the details, it's rather difficult to predict what will be the result.
And maybe Germany don't want the gas?
Maybe, because this pipeline, Russian Gazprom was one of the owners.
Yeah.
But it was not the owner of the pipelines. It was this Nord Stream company that was situated in Switzerland, and the biggest participants in this company was Germans.
Yeah, so but we will see. But if Germany wants to have the gas, could Russia supply that then?
Well, it's an issue of negotiations and of concrete decisions I don't know what is now the situation on the gas markets, because when we stopped to sell gas to Europe, we increased selling it to, for example, China and other Asian countries of Asia. And nowadays it will be impossible just to say that, well, guys, the Europeans want our gas again, so we stop selling you and we still sell it to Europe. We have to fulfill now contracts that are solved with our partners in the East.
What do you think about the match between China and Russia? Is it a perfect match, you would say?
Yes, it is. And we really have very close relations of cooperation with China. It's a very fine world that it's strategic cooperation, but it's really strategic because it is in actually every field it touches any dimension. It's enough if I mention that our trade with China is now more than $230 billion in our
sales or in
sales
to China.
Only trade of goods.
To China, you get this value from
Chinese export to Russia and Russian export to China in total. In best years of cooperation with Sweden, we had about 10 billion. And but to show you how links within the society work, I should mention that in China we have now about 16,000 Russian students who study in Chinese high schools.
In which language do they?
Well, Chinese is rather popular now in Russia, and especially in eastern parts of Russia. But at the same time, there is 50,000 of Chinese studying in Russia.
What do they study? Is it engineering, or what would you say mainly?
It's almost all spheres, not only engineering or some computer technologies or something like this. It's also medicine, because Russia traditionally has a very good schools and universities in medical sphere. And if we speak about the cooperation within BRICS countries, there is not only economics and investments, but also scientific cooperation, sports, and so on. For example, within the BRICS countries, we have a special working group on nuclear medicine, on preventing pandemic disease, and so on. So it is a very, really comprehensive scale of activities that is touched by this cooperation.
It's quite impressive. Would you say China putting up companies in Russia, and are Russia setting up companies in China, or is it mainly China setting up companies in Russia?
China is setting companies in Russia developing production on Russian territory.
Yeah.
Russia makes the same in China. It will be maybe a surprise for you that Russian agriculture and food products are now extremely popular in China. And chains of Russian products stores is developing very rapidly in Chinese cities.
Russian stores in China.
Russian stores in China who sell Russian
food. Interesting. So, and is it every kind of food?
We have a very, very large scale of agriculture production.
Has that been improved during these sanctions that you have been forced to make all these kind of type of foods, cheeses?
Several years ago, there was no such
imported
thing
a
at all.
lot from Europe, and I think also.
Yes, we had imported a lot of products from Europe. European companies worked in Russia, organized production in Russia.
So now you make yourself.
Now we product ourselves.
So China, so it's food is one product, and in Russia, China is producing maybe technical products, cars and
technical products. Yes, Chinese cars are very popular now at Russian markets.
I think that was
Chinese computers.
Yeah, of course. But I think there was an article that there was tariffs set up in Russia against Chinese cars because they wanted to protect the Russian car manufacturers.
Well, it is, always two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
From one side, you need to develop cooperation, and we do this. From the other side, we should think that this cooperation will not and should not damage our domestic production.
No, exactly.
And it is extremely difficult to achieve both aims at once.
But maybe you have different niches. So say you say nuclear plants, but I guess China also make nuclear plants. But you have more heavy industry in Russia and
we have
raw material.
We have more heavy industry. We have space industry.
Yeah.
And as for nuclear plants, we also have cooperation in this field with China. We have shipbuilding
in Russia or
in Russia and in China as well.
Yeah.
And for example, the Chinese are very interested in developing cooperation in the Arctic areas.
Yeah.
In Arctic ocean areas as well. And they want to develop their own production of ships and even icebreakers.
Yeah, because in the icebreakers, Russia is quite have a lot of experience.
Yes, Russia is one of the best countries in this field, and Chinese France may use our knowledge and technologies in this issue. And you know how Chinese works. They take your idea, your technology, then they are very creative people.
Yeah.
They develop it and they receive their own.
Yeah, that's true. But so in this quite close cooperation, almost a marriage, I get the feeling as you describe it, Donald Trump tries to enter into this. It may be not so easy.
It is not easy because, of course, America will see cooperation between Russia and China is a challenge to its own markets and first of all its own economic profits. But it's how the world economy is working. As you remember, competition is the locomotive of progress.
Yeah, exactly.
Vårt ekologiska vita vin är skapat med tradition och omsorg. Låt oss presentera SWEB-TV Chardonnay Organic, ett friskt vitt vin med inslag av päron och citrus. Finns att beställa på Systembolagets hemsida.
If we go back to the war and the peace negotiations, there has been some progress, but you describe a situation here that is quite... it sounds like Russia is quite satisfied in a way with the situation. The economy is going quite well. The federation is united, and a lot of things is positive. On the other hand, there are a lot of people that is getting killed. Do you have any figures of how many have been killed on both sides?
No, we do not have official statistics. We have a lot of estimates from different sources and different researchers, but all these estimates are speculations. We do not have official statistics from both sides, from ours and from the Ukraine. So I suppose that we will understand the cost of this conflict only in several years after, when this situation is over. Of course, when I say that Russia is actually doing well in spite of all difficulties, it doesn't mean that we would like to continue this war forever. And this special operation is limited to very special goals. And we, of course, would like and want to live in peace. And it's nobody wants other people to die. The case is that we are interested in long-standing solution, and to achieve this long-standing solution, we must think also about the roots of this conflict and to handle these roots. If we do not, it will be just a part solution, a temporary one, and will receive a frozen conflict as well, maybe the same situation which we see in the Middle East. And of course, nobody in our country is interested to receive such a situation.
No.
That's why it's really important to understand that the final solution should be standing. And what will be the conditions, what will be the goals of it? It will be the issue for negotiations, and first of all between Russia and the United States, because our European colleagues say a lot about participation of the Ukraine, but we do understand very well that the Ukrainian regime is not its own master. Without aid from abroad, they cannot stand, and during the whole period of time, they received not only weapons and materials from the West, but also the commands how to act, how to behave. That's why it is important to have negotiations with those who decide, and not with those who fulfill the commands.
So you mean today it's more United States that is in the driver's seat? So it's that's why the United States is the negotiation part so far. But if there will be a change in command in Ukraine, maybe this will be a different situation then.
Well, there is now great lack of confidence, and from our from our point of view, we do not believe the present Ukrainian government too much, because for many times they betrayed the situation. And we must understand that if we achieve the result, if we have an agreement on something, this agreement will stand.
Yeah, and there has been a goal of denazification and also to get away with the military capability, but you cannot wait until the last Nazi is taken away or the last soldier is taken away. I mean, there must be some situation where this is enough. We have reached our goals, so to say. Or what would be this situation where you can say that this is enough now?
Well, it's not in my hands to say what will be the conditions.
No,
because it's a very difficult process of negotiations.
Yeah,
and very experienced and smart people are participating in this process. Of course, every negotiation is a sort of compromise. We have to take into account aims and interests of all sides. There are, of course, some principal issues for us that we cannot afford to happen or to stand. And you've mentioned about this denazification. Really, it is not possible to accept for us that, well, for example, this actually very strong line against Russians, Russian language, Russian culture, and even Orthodox Church will continue in Ukraine. Because this is actually the thing that is very much in comparison with the Nazi regime, when one is prohibiting people to be, well, Russian, Jewish, Swedish, or something like this.
I understand that when Russia say Nazis about this, they don't talk about Jews. It's rather that the Nazis in this case, they are against Russia.
It's attitude.
Yeah,
it's Nazi ideological ideology is attitude towards other people. Yeah.
But the Ukrainians. Could you say that they have been a brother country to Russia?
Well, I can say that they was in a way brother people to Russia, because we lived in one country,
in
the Soviet Union. And we have a lot of people of Ukrainian nationality in Russia. They are living in Russia. They are working in Russia. They are working even in our Ministry for Foreign Affairs. And nobody prohibits them working in Russian governmental system because they are Ukrainians by nationality. A lot of people in our country has roots or relatives in Ukraine, in Belarus, in Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan.
But it's difficult.
It was a mix.
But it's difficult to understand why there has been such a hate that has come out of this. Is it because of history or during Soviet Union and things that has been in the past, or
it's because of nationalism? And unfortunately, this ideology of nationalism that is very close to Nazi ideology, it received a great development.
During which period would you say?
I suppose in latest maybe 15-20 years in the Ukraine.
Okay.
Because before I really do have a lot of friends with whom I used to work with, to study with, who were from Ukraine and from Western Ukraine, from this Lvov region, for example. And we never thought that the Ukrainian is worse than Russian, because we even didn't have such thoughts in our heads.
Did you speak almost the same language, so you could understand each other with your mother language?
Yes, of course, and its languages are very close. But within the Soviet Union, it was Russian language that was common.
Maybe that was something that they wanted to get away from, then, to have this independence. Has this been instigated in Ukraine from some other external countries or forces, you think?
Here we come to the question of NATO.
Yeah.
When there was unification of Germany, and the Soviet Union gave its permission, we supported this unification because we thought that it's a fair issue. We were promised that NATO will not enlarge.
It was a discussion with Gorbachev.
It was a discussion with Gorbachev, but then we knew what happened. Russia never went forward to the borders of NATO. The development was opposite. NATO was coming to closer and closer to Russian borders. And of course, when we see that the military alliance is enlarging and coming actually to our borders, we have to think why it happens. And we speak about this with partners from the West, beginning with year 2007, when it was this famous speech of President Putin in Munich, that security should be comprehensive, that no one should build his security on security of the others. We should all feel secure. That's why we need a comprehensive security in Europe, in the world, but first of all on the European space.
Yeah. Well, may I ask you, would you say that the main reason for this special operation and in the next step, this war, was the NATO expansion? Or to what degree was it due to the NATO, and to what degree was it about Donetsk and Luhansk and these internal conflict?
The Ukrainian intention to join NATO and NATO's plans to take the Ukraine, of course, influenced the development of the situation, was one of the factors. But I'm quite sure that the main factor was this internal conflict between Russian-speaking population in eastern Ukrainian regions and Ukrainian government in Kiev. You know that this eastern regions, well, Crimea made their decision earlier in the year 2014. Now, for these regions, Donetsk Republic, Lugansk Republic, Kherson region and Zaporozhye region are legally, from the point of view of Russian law and Russian constitution, part of the Russian Federation. And this cannot be changed.
Yeah, but because also the Baltic countries has NATO. But you have not made any special operation in these countries.
No.
Will you do that?
No, we didn't, and it's rather funny to see how Baltic states try to prove that they will be the next ones. Russia has no intention to invade in Baltic states, no intention to invade in Finland
How
or
can
Sweden.
they be sure of that? Because they have said yes to NATO, and the NATO factor was important in Ukraine.
Yes, but these countries, Baltic states, joined NATO many years before.
Finland is joining now.
Finland is joining now. Sweden has joined now. And of course, we have to analyze what does it mean from the point of view of our security and how we should react. Because, well, diplomats try to think positively. Military people are obliged to think negatively. They have to prepare.
So you should not exclude the possibility. You cannot exclude the possibility.
No, I exclude the possibility that that Russia will invade to some neighbor country.
You do not exclude that.
I exclude this.
You exclude that?
I exclude this. I do not see any reason or any situation when it happens.
But if you have NATO, if you do not want NATO that close, and now you get NATO that close.
The Ukraine was a very special issue because of our history and because it is too close to Russia.
And it's a more or less Russian language also.
Well, language is the other issue. It's rights of peoples of Eastern Ukraine.
Okay, but you say you exclude this possibility, but you don't know about. As you say, you're a diplomat. You think positive, but there could be other forces. And the impression that President Putin gives is that he is not interested in wars, really. But
yes, he is not interested in wars, and we are not interested in wars as a country, as a people as well.
But I mean, Putin is very strong and he has good health, probably, but he will not live forever. What about the other people or other people that could be in charge? I was thinking of Medvedev. He was very during the first part of the Ukraine situation. He was very tough against Europe, and he threatened more or less with nuclear weapons. Could there be different thoughts in the leadership of Russia that suddenly this would change there for some reason that we don't know today?
I don't see reasons why this attitude will change, because Russia is not an empire, and the president of the country will not be nominated. It will be elected.
Can you repeat that? What do you mean with this?
I mean that the president of the country, as we have now Mr. Putin, and he was elected.
Yeah.
He has really a very strong support of the people. He is not an emperor. He is not a dictator. And I'm sure that the same situation will continue in Russia in the future also.
Due to the country, more or less, not only due to the persons, more
because it's person is important issue, of course, but it's due to the country and to the general trends of development of this country.
Du hittar vår självförsvarsspray i butiken här på hemsidan. Sprayerna finns med eller utan färg.
But there has been some criticism against Zelensky that he does not allow any competitors. The other parties are forbidden, more or less, as we understand it. But in Russia, the other competitors are extremely weak or does not exist, more or less. Will it always be like that, or will you have a more situation like in Europe where there are different parties that are more or less the same, have the same strength?
Well, who knows? We have, as you know, several parties in the parliament. And what will be the situation in future? Will there be some new leaders? It's understandable that now there is no person who can be in comparison with Vladimir Putin. It's true.
Yeah, because he has such support. But
his support is very strong. What will be the future development of the country? Well, it's speculation. But when we speak about this military way of thinking and so on, it means that our military people should analyze the situation and prepare to possible risks coming towards our country.
Different scenarios.
Different scenarios, yes. But the very strong understanding in our country is and will be, I've mentioned it, I suppose, twice during our conversation, that when we speak about the nuclear power, it's a great responsibility, and there will be no winners in the war that nuclear powers have between them. And while all nuclear powers or serious players on the international arena understand this, it's good. If and when one of such powers will decide that it is possible to make first preventive strike, and we saw such development in American military thinking, for example, several years ago. It will be a disaster for everybody.
And I guess we will have to end quite soon, but may I ask you, as you know, Finland and Sweden have joined NATO, and we will also have the DCA agreement for 17 American bases in Sweden, and about the same in Finland. Could it be a requirement from Russia in the negotiation that we should reverse these decisions? Do you foresee that kind of issues being raised in a negotiation?
I don't believe in this. You know, I saw how it works. That one Finnish researcher is saying that maybe Russia will demand that Sweden and Finland will be expelled from NATO. And on the other day, and the article is about this, but the headline in the newspaper is that Putin will demand that Sweden and Finland will be expelled from NATO.
Yeah.
So this is how the propaganda works.
Yeah.
Of course.
But do you exclude the possibility that Putin would demand that in a negotiation with United States?
Finland and Sweden joined NATO.
Yeah.
It's a reality. And the issue is that now the decision about peace of war do not belong to Helsinki and to Stockholm. If there will be a decision in Brussels or in Washington, all member states will have nothing to do but to obey. And that's why the security of these countries are not only in their hands. And of course we will analyze this. Of course there will be steps, also military steps, preparing to different, as you mentioned, scenarios. But I do not see the situation when we will demand that Sweden should went out of
But it
NATO.
has been discussed in some articles you mentioned. But
in articles, yes, but it's interesting that some Swedish or Finnish researchers discuss this possibility between of them, and then they decide that it's Russians
you see it
who
more
do think it.
You think it's more like speculations?
It's speculations, as well as we see that, Russia has no intention to invade, for example, Gotland.
Yeah.
But researchers and journalists in Sweden develop different scenarios how it can happen. And then they began to believe themselves that Russia is threatening Sweden and will invade.
But do you think that we should be felt nervous, or should we feel relaxed about this possible threat?
You should not feel nervous. The case is that during the whole history of mankind, it's better to improve your security by political and diplomatical means than to prepare to war.
But how often do you get any contacts or discussion with our government here in Sweden, for instance, or regarding these issues?
Well, I do not have any contacts and discussions with Swedish government because we do not have contacts on a political level. I have contacts with some of my colleagues in Swedish Ministry for Foreign Affairs.
Yeah.
But even from the practical point of view, there is no intention from Swedish political level to keep contacts.
But you say this is the best way to avoid conflicts, is to have a discussion.
From my point of view, yes.
Oh.
But it seems so that our Swedish colleagues have maybe different way of thinking.
Okay, I think I have got the answer. So we have discussed most of the things that I was curious about. But maybe one thing that would be interesting to hear your view on, because Russia is extremely large area, a lot of different people, different languages, and so the Russian Federation. If you would compare it with United States or EU, or maybe even China, which is the most alike, Russia Federation?
Well, we're different. Russia, China, the United States, and we have a lot in common. We have a lot of common even if we compare Russia and Sweden. We have many common things in history, in culture, in traditions. In some ways we have very different attitudes, and then situation is changing. Maybe just to have some relax, I'll tell you about two examples of different attitudes. I spent my childhood in Canada because father was working in Soviet embassy in Ottawa. And once we had a baseball match with Canadian boys. And after the match, everybody wanted to have water very much. I had a can of Coca-Cola in my bag, so I took it and suggested to a Canadian boy who stand near me that, would you like to have? He was, of course, very happy. He took it, said, "Oh, is it for me?" And drank it all.
Okay. That it was your only.
It was a shock for us because in our culture and our attitude, we share. So after the game, everyone drinks a little and then gives to another. The Canadian or American attitude is another. They think first of all about themselves. The other issue, maybe surprising or interesting for you, will be from our negotiations with an American delegation in Helsinki before Istanbul summit of OSCE. In night time, we had rather difficult negotiations with American colleagues who came from Washington, and we had them in a restaurant at 2 a.m. We were asked to leave the restaurant because it was closed, and we had to go to American embassy. American ambassador led us to his premises, and when we came to his residence, he asked the gentleman, "What do you want to drink?" And it was 2:30 in the morning. All Americans took vodka. All Russians took Coca-Cola.
So you exchanged the drinking tradition, but I think vodka is still popular in Russia. Or?
Yes. Yeah. We have a great culture of this. But consumption, really, to tell you the truth, the consumption of alcohol and culture of alcohol consumption is changing very rapidly in Russian society.
Yeah, you say that it's rapidly because this has been a big problem, and but it's changing now.
Yes, it's changing, and nowadays during, for example, the working lunch, it is very seldom you can see some strong spirits, mostly wine. Or maybe even water and juices, because people do not want to drink during the working day.
So the vodka consumption has been a problem, but that is improving. And another thing has been about the fertility, the number of children that are born. Has that been changed today to a
yes,
better?
It is also changing, and in the southern regions of Russia, it always was a tradition to have a lot of children. And nowadays, within the young families, we have the situation that 3 children is a normal thing. But before it was only 1. Now 2 or 3 children, it's a normal issue.
Also in the Moscow
Also in
area.
the Moscow, yes.
Okay. Is it due to this nationalism trend, do you think, or why is it?
No, it's I suppose because people now can afford themselves to have bigger families.
It's not due to religion or...
It's not due to religion, it's more to, level of life. And that nowadays it's not a problem to have, from economic point of view, it's not a problem to have several children. And then, of course, it is this way of thinking is changing. Because now more and more people do understand that, it's a God blessing issue to have children. It's not a problem.
No, you mentioned earlier that you have 3 children yourself also.
Yes.
Okay, Sergej Beljajev, maybe we have discussed most of the things we should discuss, or do you have anything you would like to add or ask before we end?
Well, I will only wish all your listeners and watchers good spring and good summer. Here in the north, it is very important to see the sun and to have warm days. In Finland, they have such people's wisdom that happiness to one, summer for everybody. So I wish everybody good summer and good luck.
Thank you, Sergej, for joining us here and giving us this information.
Tack så mycket.
Tack så mycket. What do you say?
Спасибо.
Spasibo. Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Du bidrar enklast genom Swish eller bankgiro. Eller bli gärna månadsgivare genom periodiska överföringar från ditt bankkonto till vårt bankkonto. Det är också möjligt att betala med kreditkort genom att trycka på knappen Donate på vår hemsida. Du hittar alla kontouppgifter längst ner på hemsidan swebtv.se. På vår hemsida kan du också anmäla dig för att få mejl. Vi använder vår mejllista endast för att informera om våra program och annat liknande.